What's going on, everybody? It is a rainy day here in Georgia. I think that's a song somewhere. Welcome to another episode of Unfiltered Truth. I am one of your hosts, Eric Smith, joined by my co-host, James Shook. Got a lot to cover this week. Let's go ahead, guys. We'll get into our sponsors and just start jumping into it, man. So how's it been going?
Man, it's been great. We had a good weekend. Got some more training in, got some more gunfire in downrange. So it was all good things. Yes, we do have a lot to cover this week. These are pretty much all current events. I think one of them happened a little bit in the past, but a lot of current events to cover today. We'll get to our sponsors though real quick. Guys, want to thank the folks over at All Weather Construction. That's All Weather Construction for any of your home improvement needs. Their number is 470-519-6988. If you guys have any home improvement projects, renovations, additions, anything like that, be sure and reach out to these guys. You can give Steven a call. Again, that number is 470-519-6988. And moving on down the line, we've got Peach State Printing in Hiram, Georgia. Ask for Jason if you guys go over there. That number is 770-439-0335. These guys pretty much do everything. So if you have any printing needs, stationery, promotional items, shirts, banners, vehicle wraps, you name it, those guys will do it. Again, ask for Jason if you guys check them out. Let them know that the Unfiltered Truth sent you. And again, that number is 770-439-0335. And that web address is peachstateprinting.com. Also, give a shout out to North Cobb Spine and Nerve, one of our continuous sponsors here on the program. If you guys have any chiropractic or physical medicine needs, be sure and reach out to North Cobb Spine and Nerve. Bunch of great folks over there. That number is 678-574-5678. And as the banner at the bottom of the screen says, you can catch those guys at northcobbspine.com. That's all I got.
Yep. Good, man. Well, thanks again to all our sponsors. We couldn't do it without y'all. It makes our life a lot easier. Makes the set a lot more aesthetically pleasing. So if I'm a little bit off today, I apologize. I've been battling a little bit of illness the past week. It has not been a lot of fun. So yeah, don't ever get shingles. Not cool. I don't recommend it for anybody. So let's get into some topics, man. I guess we can kind of recap last week. We went over kind of the double standards in society. Everything that's been going on, and it was kind of leads us into our first topic today of basically our institutions, with some of which are government and publicly funded, some of our colleges having double standards. And it's kind of something we've known for a long time, James, but we've got a good example of something going on here in Georgia. Just want to talk about it a little bit.
So yeah, it looks like we got some drama over at Georgia Tech, right? This is dating all the way back to 2016, and I think when the just post or pre and post election.
Yep, exactly. So it started way back when, from where, like you said, it looks like 2016. Lawsuit was filed back in April. So for those of you that don't know, a lot of our campuses here in Georgia, and I know across the nation, once Trump actually won and they knew that happened, they shut down a lot of these classes and told the teachers that they needed to shut down classes and give space to their students to basically air out their grievances and their frustrations and basically cry about it. They were forced to set up crying areas in their classrooms where they would circle the tables and have the chairs together where people could basically just come in there and cry about the election. So fast forward to everything that's going on right now with Trump ordering certain types of training stopping and things like that. That in federally funded organizations. And then you have Georgia Tech, which refused to allow Alveda King, who is the niece of the deceased civil rights leader, Martin Luther King, come speak to a pro-life student group at Georgia Tech. So they filed a lawsuit, which was just settled recently. I believe this article is from September 10th. They agreed to pay $50,000 filed against the school by a group and claimed it allowed student government leaders to withhold funding or filed against the school by a group that claimed it allows student government leaders to withhold funding from groups which it disagrees with politically. Well, this is a problem. So I've kind of seen a meme going along today, and I'll speak on the meme kind of thing. I hate using memes as like ways to debate topics because they're kind of stupid. But it kind of goes to what we're saying with our taxpayer dollars going to waste. If your teacher knows, or I'm sorry, if you're a student and you know your teacher's political affiliations, your teacher's not doing their job. And that's a huge problem. They should be teaching our kids to be independent, free thinkers and not being cramming stuff down their throats. And it's pitiful, the stuff you see. One of our listeners sent me a thing where there was a BLM flag up in a classroom along with the gay rights flag. Don't know if it was college, middle school, elementary school, don't know. But again, stuff in classrooms like that, it doesn't belong. There doesn't need to be a Trump flag in a classroom, just like there doesn't need to be a Biden flag. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, the issue that we've got here with Georgia Tech is, I mean, I'm sure this has happened. This is probably all over the United States. I would imagine this is happening on many campuses. I'll touch real quick on just your opening statement there, which was that after the election, they had a few days to, excuse me, they had a few days to be able to collect their thoughts and get their frustrations out, and created these crying rooms. I'm a lot of people that know me, especially if you know me reasonably close. I don't tend to have the most patience for stuff like that. It's just things that are very weak-minded. And I mean, this would be different if we were talking about maybe even high school. But when we're talking about a college campus, and you're talking about a reasonably prestigious college campus,
yep,
these are adults that are taking classes there, or they're supposed to be adults anyway. And I just feel like anything in society where we build this structure, or this, in this case, this classroom environment to facilitate this kind of behavior is, just basically whining about something and being able to cry about it. And I don't understand where this has anything to do with school, probably for what, or have anything to do with what these parents were paying these tuitions for these college students to go to. If I sent my kid to school and they had to go to a crying room because someone won the presidency and it wasn't their particular candidate of choice, I don't really know what I'd say to my child at that point. We would definitely have a talk about about toughening up and understanding that life's full of adversity, and maybe you have to get used to taking the good with the bad. But it just seems to be something that's not told anymore. And I think it spreads over into some of the policy that you'll see at the college campuses themselves, and especially the major universities. In this situation, I mean, you have a clear case of discrimination. I think they were trying to have Alveda King come in and speak, and was it centered around pro-life? Was that the whole idea?
Well, I don't know exactly. It was a pro-life group, so it doesn't really say in the article too well what it was. I tried to do a little bit of research, couldn't see it. But Georgia Tech.
I remember reading. Well, I remember reading that they were saying that King was coming as also a pro-lifer. So
correct.
I'm not sure about anything to do with that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, this just goes to show. I mean, there's definitely conservative voices are being they're just being silenced, and they're being muffled in our college campuses. They're being it doesn't matter what it is. Every facet of our life right now. We've discussed this for several episodes. So. I mean, what do you say? It's obvious discrimination one way or the other, and at least in this case, I think we got a judgment out of it in the end. And Georgia Tech actually paid they ended up paying a sum of money, correct?
Yes, they paid $50,000, and I think the more concerning thing here is if you look that Georgia Tech students, if you look in the article, they have to pay mandatory student activity fees, which they use to fund all kinds of events, other organizations' events. So. They could be funding the LGBTQ plus minus parentheses hyphen, thing. They could be funding a meeting for them. They could be funding a meeting for the pro-Trumpers. They could be funding a meeting for the pro-Biden people. So for a student organization to get denied simply, having this person come on campus when they're not speaking, hate speech, they're not trying to incite violence or any of these other things. Alveda King is a peaceful person. I don't think anybody can argue that. And the fact that they're having to pay fees to allow all these other groups come on, and they wouldn't allow her to come on because they had issues with her views on gay marriage and her views on abortion, that's a problem. And I just don't understand where our campuses get off thinking, our schools get off thinking, especially publicly funded ones, get off thinking that they could be cramming the stuff down students' throats and steering it in a certain direction. It's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, no, what a weak-minded system we seem to be living in nowadays. I really hope this isn't the majority of the population that believes like this, because There's got to be some hope out there somewhere.
Yep. Well, speaking of weak-minded public, let's talk about the police violence that's occurred the past couple of weeks, and then we'll kind of end on some good news with the whole, Trump getting nominated for, I believe 2 Nobel Peace Prizes at this point, not just one. But anyways, we've heard a lot of people complaining about police brutality, why they're not, why they're doing certain things the way they're doing it, and it's creating just a false narrative against a lot of the police officers out there. And one of the biggest things we've seen about like the Jacob Blake shooting is, oh my God, why didn't they use a taser on him? Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? Even though they used a taser, why didn't they wait on him to turn around out of his vehicle? Why didn't they do all these things? And then you have certain aspects of the public wondering why we don't use tasers against people armed with weapons, i.e. clubs, knives, and things like that. And I would like to share with you this video, let everyone make their judgment about what they think with it, what happened, and why basically it's a dumb idea to fight an unarmed person with a taser. And I'm saying unarmed because that seems to be the liberal definition of it. So let's get to the video real quick. And there we go. All right. He's hit with a taser. Well, I thought tasers worked all the time, James.
Yeah, that's there's a big push for this. I mean, there's a big push for this. We've got the other case up north, I believe, where we have the guy coming after the cops, and now law enforcement seems to be in trouble up there with this one too, where he was clearly using a knife to come after them, and they ended up returning fire to him and using deadly force. That's one instance of it. We have this one. You've got the situation that happened in Tulsa, the body cam footage and all of the video footage has now been released from the Tulsa incident, which is, if you guys haven't seen that, it's an extremely disturbing image, but it is a great testament. If you guys do watch it, it's a great testament to maybe getting a little more insight and understanding a little more what officers are dealing with when you're allowing the suspects in these cases to move themselves into a situation where you can't see their hands or reach back into their vehicles or turn their back on you to go back into their vehicles, very similar to what happened in the Jacob Blake case. So, yes, I mean, this is, that's a very patient officer in that video that you just showed. I don't know that I would have had that much restraint.
No, not at all. I mean, there's a reason why, and I think we've talked about this multiple times. When you take a taser class, you are not trained to use a taser against somebody that's got a weapon that could potentially cause great bodily harm or death. A club, a piece of wood, a knife, any of those things can cause you great bodily harm or death. If you get hit in the head, like he did several times, get hit in the face, you could die. We showed a video a couple of weeks ago of somebody getting hit in the head with a brick, which is a blunt object, and we saw what happened with that. Speaking of the Tulsa shooting, I'm going to link it in the comments on the Unfiltered Truth page. We can't show it here because if we do, we will get banned again like we did 2 weeks ago when we showed the incident I was just talking about. So please go check that link out, comment your thoughts. I believe I did share it on our page too. But there's reasons why you're not trained that way, James. You're not trained to use the same level of force that a bad guy uses. Going back to the Tulsa shooting again, if you look, the guy's pulling and the officers are literally pulling. It's the same thing, right? Unstoppable force meets a movable object. That's what happens. If you have two equal forces pulling against each other, guess what? Nothing happens, right? Neither one's going to move. Nothing's going to gain an inch. At some point in time, somebody's got to step up, and they've got to use more force than the person against them is using. Am I going to say the guy should have shot the dude right off the bat? No, maybe not. But I mean, again, I wasn't there. To Christina's point, I'm not going to tell the officer how to do his job because I was not present. I wasn't feeling what was going on. But there's a reason why we don't train people to use tasers against people armed with weapons.
Yeah, and I know we can't show that video, and I'm glad you did link it down there so at least some of the viewers can get to see what we're talking about. It's a very, very troubling video to watch. It's there was so much opportunity for the officers to try different avenues, and again, don't want to second guess the officers. It's a tragic situation what happened, but again, what a prime example of a reason why you don't let your suspects turn their back on you, and then you don't let them reach into places that you can't see. I mean, this was a clear-cut definition. Maybe if it had happened in the reverse order, the Jacob Blake case would have happened first, then maybe these officers in this Tulsa incident would still be alive. I want to say that the Tulsa incident was pre-Jacob Blake case.
Correct? It was correct. That was in June, I believe.
29 or something like that.
Yep.
But no, I mean that's you have to rise up to a certain level of force, and I mean this should go without saying. I don't understand why the public is. I do understand it. I understand it because we live in a society now where everyone's feelings come ahead of everything. Feelings are starting to become ahead of personal safety, of safety of being at your home, on your own residence, in your own property, in your own dwelling. To take it a step further, I mean, this is this effort to try to create this utopia world where nobody has anything that's adverse to what they want to do, or they don't have any. You don't have any discomforts in life. It's just not realistic. You're going to have discomfort. You're going to have bad things happen to you. Sometimes more times than not, you're going to create the bad things that happen to you, and you got to deal with the consequences of that. And the more that we teach society that, you can cry to someone or you can whine to someone and you'll get out of it. And everybody needs to more or less cater to your feelings. And even if you are the perpetrator, then we need to turn you into the victim somehow to make you feel better about yourself. This seems to be a widespread belief and a very common thing that we're hearing more and more of every day when we turn the TV on. So, I don't know what the answer for it is. I mean, I think obviously parents need to toughen their kids up a little bit more, but I don't know. What's the answer for this one, Eric? I'm at a loss.
Really, it goes back to our education system to kind of start off with to go back to what we started off with. My mom, she told me about a book, and hopefully she always listens to podcasts, so hopefully she'll comment and tell me what book it was, but basically about indoctrinating kids, starting with the education system to get them to start believing certain things. And I think we've seen that going on for years. I mean, you can see where, our education system has slanted one way very hard. Since I've been a kid, for sure, I've noticed it. And I'm 40 now. And now with the advent of social media, you're getting to see it crammed down everybody's throat by Facebook. I literally put up a post of, for those of y'all that are personal friends with me, I put up a post of Joe Biden playing Despacito at his conference thing he did with the whole 9 people that were there. The headline on the article read, Joe Biden plays Despacito from his cell phone. This was a news article I linked. And that's all that the news article said, or the snippet read. And they censored me saying that or censored the post, saying that it was not accurate. And I'm like, he actually played Despacito from his phone. So what are we doing here? Well, we're trying to quell Joe Biden looking like an idiot, like he's pandering. And Facebook knows he did bad. So that's why they're trying to get rid of it and trying to basically make it where you can't share it. So coming full circle, the education system, it's the same thing with the police. They're out to make the police look like bad guys. I'll put several links up. There was a article this week about a school, it was an elementary school, basically talking about racism and defining racism. And I have to remember the school district. If anybody remembers it, please comment. Basically saying, it defines racism for what it is. Basically believing the superiority of one race over another simply based on skin color. That's racism. I don't think anybody argues that. But in a little snippet at the end, it says, majority of which are white people. That's what we're getting crammed down kids' throats. We're getting that crammed down their throats with police. We're going to cram down their throats with race. And it's ridiculous at this point. They're indoctrinating the public to hate the police. That's why they expect police to get hurt. That's why they're, at this point, rooting for police to get hurt. And man, we're going to get to that video in a minute. Talking about making you sick. And that's where we're at. And I think it's perfect segue into that you want to see the product of indoctrination. We're about to see it, and I'm going to share it with you. I'm not going to comment after it, James. I want you to give your thoughts on it. So let me get to it right now. We'll go full screen for this one.
Compton. Nigga just aired the police out, nigga. They just aired the police out, nigga. It go up in Compton. Them niggas just got aired out, cuz. They just bust on them niggas, cuz. That's crazy. Damn. Oh, it goes down in Compton. Oh, they just got bust off. That nigga on a knee. Damn. Police just got aired out, nigga. They just got bust on, nigga. They just got aired out. They just got aired out, nigga. It's going up. Somebody bust on their ass. Somebody bust on the police, nigga. Damn, nigga. Oh, two sheriffs shot in the face. Two sheriffs shot in the face. They tripping. It's going up in Compton. Niggas bust on the police, nigga. Nigga, they just got aired out. Somebody ran up on the car and bust on their ass. Right through the window, in the face and all, nigga. It's a wrap.
Your thoughts?
So a week or two ago, I made a statement about a guy that was harassing Rand Paul after leaving the White House event. And I take back what I said. This guy is the dumbest person I think I've ever seen in my life. This is definitely what we're up against. And I think that is ignorant and as stupid as this guy sounds, if you can even make out what he's saying. People raise their kids like this. They did. This is a very real thing. I mean, this guy's standing out in the street. He seems to be extremely proud of the fact that some cops just got murdered. And to him, he says murdered, or he thinks that they're done. I think he used the phrase "that's a wrap."
Yep.
It's hey man, it's good times. You know what's really funny is how did he know they got shot in the face so quickly? Like it was right in the middle of it. He seems to be detailing exactly what happened there. So it seems a little bit weird, but in any event, someone that believes like that, they're out teaching other people around them to believe like that. They're posting these kind of videos online. And I mean, number one, all they're doing is advertising their ignorance over and over and over. But to be that excited about it, it really, really, really should be a wake-up call to a lot of the people that are for law and order, that support the police departments and support all of law enforcement, military as well. This is a very real thing. This is coming from the left, and I think that conservatives and people on the right need to wake up, and they need to understand this is what you're dealing with. These people don't just laugh at your death; they encourage, and if they had the means to do so, they would do it themselves if they thought they could get away with it. And in many cases, they have been doing it themselves. So. Is it a shame to see it? Absolutely. Is it something that I can say that I'm extremely surprised about? I'm absolutely in no way surprised to see what this guy was saying in this video. And these are the exact kind of people that are ultimately going to help push these policies and push this behavior to a boiling point. And then to be honest with you, I just hope they're ready for what they're going to get when they do finally achieve their lawlessness that they're looking for in the streets. And frankly, I just don't think they're going to be ready for it.
Yeah, you're right. I think you made a couple good points there. The guy I've learned this from somewhere. I think you and I both believe that racism is a learned behavior. Ignorance, hatred is a learned behavior. Typically, whether it's through your own experiences or through being taught things at an early age. Which if he's from Compton, I'm going to go ahead and say he probably came up in a pretty crappy environment. I think I could say that without sounding too off the wall about it. And this is the product of
his vocabulary or lack thereof will tell you that.
Sure. And if you look though, but what's Compton? What's California? It's a Democratic stronghold. It's been run by liberals for years. It's been poor for years. The guy probably, again, came from, a family that was screwed up. And I'm not making excuses for what he's saying. I'm just reasons and why. I don't want everybody to see the full circle picture of this thing. This is what the left gets you. And you said, it's leftist behavior. Yeah, it is. You know why? Because he's been raised in a leftist city run by leftist policies. Chances are dude's got no chance at employment because who the hell's going to want to move into Compton to have a business? The answer is nobody. If you look at all the cities, look at Portland, RJ, again, one of our most loyal listeners, he'll tell you businesses they're moving out of that town left and right. They're scared to be there because the police can't protect them. And it's just, if you want to talk about systemic racism, you just looked at it. That in one video was systemic racism, if you want to use that term. That guy right there, yeah, he's the product of it. But you know what? It's the Democrats' product. It's not the Republicans. It's not the white man's. It's none of that. It's a product of policies by a party that is full of people that look, very diverse party by their own standards. They've got all kinds of folks from different creeds and stuff, and that's great. And, and there's RJ right there listing them up. Yeah, it's got me thinking twice about my city. Of course it does. Safety and security, I think, was the number one or number two thing when they were asking pollers about their concerns in the election. Economy was number one. Safety and security was a very close number two. And it's a problem. And that's what you see, James. And you're right. That's the in-your-face person. That's not the one, hiding out, pretending to be your friend in the background that feels that way that guy does. That's a dude who has no problem showing his face.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, this is on the bright side of all this. The NFL ratings were down drastically. I know that Sunday Night Football had another 30% drop, I believe was reported, something like that, in its ratings and viewership. And to be honest with you, I completely agree with that. I'm not watching any NFL, and I refuse to support a lot of the corporations that seem to be jumping on this Black Lives Matter bandwagon. And I'll go ahead and use the organization's name there, Black Lives Matter or BLM or whatever they want to call it. If there's anyone left out there that believes that this is a group that is out to for some kind of social justice or some kind of fighting for some kind of injustice that happened, they are just absolutely completely mistaken about what they believe. This group is a violent group. They are perpetuating this kind of violence. They're encouraging it. They're possibly even funding it. We don't know all the details at this point, but when you have people walk up to, or you have an individual walk up to a police car with two officers just sitting in it, minding their own business, and unsolicited for no reason whatsoever, he walks up, pulls a gun, shoots both of them through the window, and with the intent of killing both of them. And then when they take the officers to the hospital, the group of what they call protesters, I wish they'd quit using that terminology. I think this is a great case that proves that there's protesters. These are just violent spreaders. These are terrorists. Sure. These are domestic terrorists, and call it for what it is. When they travel, make a point to travel to the hospital where they're taking these officers to try to block the entrances and exits, and are demanding to be able to see the officers, number one, like as if they're going to get access to them in some way. And then number two, are laughing about, encouraging, condoning the behavior. And then also they seem to think it's quite funny to sit out and pray for the death of this female officer and her partner. I think that it speaks volumes what this group is about. And they don't have any problem. They're not denouncing it. They're not denouncing this group, saying, "Oh, that's not BLM." Nobody said anything like that. These people are claiming to be BLM. They're using BLM with everything that they do. They're obviously not conservatives. They're definitely not right-wing supporters. These are people from the left, and as long as they're claiming that name, Black Lives Matter, and Black Lives Matter refuses to condemn their behavior, then that's what you get. Then it is Black Lives Matter that's out there doing this kind of stuff. And this was a murder. I mean, I'm not saying the group was directly responsible for this guy doing it to these officers, but they sure are encouraging more and more of it to happen. And when you have corporations and you have large scale businesses like the NFL will say, when they decide to put these criminals' names on their helmets, when they decide to tattoo the field with ELM and things like that, they are saying that they support these very same people that are blocking these interests at hospitals and that are wishing death on the police. And it's sickening. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. I can't believe that our officials are not calling them out more blatantly for what they're doing. And to be honest with you, I'm disgusted with Democrats and Republicans alike that sit in these official seats, and they're not doing anything about it. They're not condemning it. And they're really ultimately, they're just not talking about it very much.
No, and it's, they use the whole excuse, I can't say anything because the whole cancel culture, I won't be able to, I'll lose my position, this, that, and the other. Well, you know what? You're a public servant. You're elected by your people. You need to speak out. It's your job to speak out and say things. And I'm disappointed in some of my politician friends, some of whom listen to this, and I haven't seen them call people out for it, just denounce the violence. And it's your job to call it out and call it out for what it is. Jeremy just said it right. They're insurgents. They're terrorists. People that do this stuff, people that run up on a police car where two people are sitting in it, minding their own business, doing whatever it is they're doing, and you shoot people, that is terrorism. I don't know any other way to put it. And you have very few people coming out and saying anything about it. I know Trump said something about it, obviously denouncing it. Then you had a couple other politicians come out of the back end. Biden actually denounced it, said, it's not okay. And then the mayor of LA, which he's just as responsible for it happening as the BLM movement is, he comes out and kind of denounces it. And then you get that politician in Florida, that's running for office, that's like, oh yeah, we need to get the full context of this video before we come to a judgment. And I literally threw my stuff down and I was like, are you freaking kidding me? RJ, what we're saying by that, as far as it, being a representative Democratic Party, I'm not saying necessarily the Democratic Party. I'm saying like extreme liberalism. I even said I got in an extended argument with somebody, discussion the other day, saying, I don't think it's, by no means do I think it's the entire Democratic Party. No, I mean, it's not. But just like it's not all black people, just like it's not all cops, it's not all white people. But this is what.
Yeah, but it's what the Democratic Party has become. I mean, we talked about this last week. It is the Democratic Party. They have to own this. This is their left. It's the same way that they pin white supremacists into the right side. So yes, this is the Democratic Party. It absolutely is. And these are the people they support. The people that's these far left extremists that are now taking seats in some of the offices and some of the highest offices in the land, even, and they support this stuff. They encourage it through their actions. They encourage it in all kinds of ways. They encourage it through being silent as far as even denouncing it or trying to condemn it whatsoever. So that whole guilt by silence, I think it goes right on them as well here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I've been calling out LeBron constantly. I mean, I know he don't pay attention to anything I say, obviously, but, the whole silence is violence thing. Yeah, you want to, get on Facebook and Twitter and cuss and say, this is why we feel the way we do, blah, 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 blah. Well, if you're really trying to, you're the biggest sports star in your town. There's no question. This happened in your county. This happens, where your team is from, and you have zero to say about it. Like, how hard is it to come out and say, man, we all got to do better? Like, would that have been hard? No, it wouldn't have. But you know what? It doesn't fit his narrative. And LeBron's a racist anyways, and I'll call him that because if you go back to his high school days, there's an ESPN article where he said he didn't want any white friends. So there you go. I mean, that's racism, period. So, and yes, they absolutely are on the record encouraging harassment and violence. And the only time they've stopped doing it, Eric, is when the poll numbers started reflecting it. We talked about that last week. When Don Lemon saying, the riots have to stop, that's when they start being like, we need to knock it off because people's safety and security means the world to them.
Yeah, Skeletor Waters, or Maxine Waters, I guess she's been on record several times encouraging the harassment and the violence. And listen, they're getting more brazen about it. It's in your face right now. I mean, Pelosi's talking about we're going to remove the president no matter what happens in the election. I mean, listen, there is no question what's going on in the Democrat Party right now. Okay, they are encouraging the violence for whatever reason, and I think they think it's going to hurt Trump in the election. And we all know that's not going to be the case because everyone is smart enough to know, or at least the majority of people are smart enough to understand that it's not conservatives, it's not Republicans that are out in the streets causing chaos and murdering cops. And, I can't even think of, it's you have to do a little bit of research to find a conservative that it seems to be any of these highlight news articles lately where there's some criminal activity going on and the cops respond to it. I'm just not seeing it. You know, these are people that are probably left or that are Democrats, and their officials in their cities seem to be encouraging it and seem to be okay with it. So until I see the left come out and start demanding law and order and start demanding punishment for these criminals and start demanding that they get the sentences they deserve, and then it trickles down too. There, these appointed judges that they have, these liberal judges that they have in these courts, especially circuit courts. They're the ones that's creating this, and they're the one that harbor this violence through, failure to produce any kind of sentence that meets the crime. So, it's a sad day that we live in right now, but it's good that it's being exposed.
Yeah, and here you go. I'm gonna go ahead and we'll play this video just to make sure that y'all realize we're not just talking out of our butts here. Just watch this.
The people are going to turn on them. They're going to protest. They're going to absolutely harass them until they decide that they're going to tell the president, no, I can't hang with you.
Not in D.C., not in the U.S., not in D.C., not in the U.S., not in D.C., not in the U.S.
Our issue is strong borders, no crime. Their issue is open borders. Let MS-13 all over our country. That's what's going to happen.
So, a couple of things I'll hit on that. Credit to Washington Post for that. That's who we got that from off YouTube. That shows straight up that what's going on. So this was back in June when that happened, James. So what they have done at this point, right? They're using this tactic of if you see people out in restaurants, harass them. You see them out in public, gather a crowd and harass them. How many videos have we shown you? You brought up Rand Paul. He got harassed with his wife. So did the representative from Georgia. I forgot his name. Vernon Taylor, I believe it's, or Vernon Taylor.
Vernon Jones.
And they got harassed by this very tactic. To be the party of tolerance and all this other stuff. Yeah, no, we'll tolerate you if you believe the things we do, but if you don't, then well, there you go. And if to the point of what they're talking about with Trump separating children at the border. It's already been proven that, that happened under the Obama administration, that all these tactics and all these cages and all these things were built under Obama. So that's nothing that Trump started. Is he continuing it? Sure. But, there's no debating that. But this is what you're seeing. And then the problem is, you hear everybody talking about our current president being like, well, he's an asshole. He doesn't act presidential. He doesn't do all these, he doesn't encourage, coming together and unity and all this stuff. What's that? She's not acting very congressional or very senatorial, if that's even a word. You're encouraging people to harass people in public when they're eating with their wife and their kids. Their wife may be a freaking Democrat. There's that one famous couple, Mark Levin, I think's his name, and his wife. They're super, and I probably got that completely wrong, but it's the couple, the Republican and the Democrat couple that, they may not even agree with what their husband's doing or their job. So why are you harassing them? It's unbelievable.
No, and I think it's getting worse every day too. And until the people step up and they've had enough of it and they take back their cities and they take back their own voices by voting these people out of office. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's probably in these Democratic run cities. I mean, this is where all this is happening, most of it anyway. And it's not a coincidence that they're Democrat run cities. I mean, they're all for lawlessness. They're all for, trying to make everyone, feel good. And it's just a weak environment. Getting back to what you said about Trump, right? I don't believe that Trump does really care, if people go have a day where it's all sunshine and roses and everything's just so happy and goes on. He's a tough guy, you know what I mean? And it takes strong, tough leaders to lead. And I mean, if you want to look back into the past, you look back at it, even in the Roman Empire, you look back at even more modern now, as you advance forward from there. Strong leaders got stuff done, and some of them got stuff done that that might not be viewed in the best light, and then some of them were very strong leaders that did a lot of great things. But ultimately, you've got to have strong leadership. You can't have someone that is so wrapped up in feelings all the time and that wants to cater to every little whim. And that's what we're getting from the left. It's that we want to make everything just so peaceful and so happy, and no one has any grief or strife throughout their life. And if they do, we're going to coddle them, we're going to counsel them, and we're going to get to the bottom of it, we're going to fix it, and we're going to tell them it's okay to be like this. We're going to tell them it's okay to think like this, and it's okay to act like this. And instead, what we should be doing is we should be showing tough love and telling them to straighten their asses up and get their act together and grow up and be a part of the real world. And that is what I see from the right mainly. I don't see that on the left at all. I mean, have you seen any legislation or any kind of push towards anything that pushes personal accountability or that pushes personal responsibility to what's going on in one's life? And I'm just not seeing it from the left. It's all coming from the right.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing it from the extreme left. I think you are getting some people gravitating away from the left. I believe we talked about it. Recently there were 6 mayors in Minnesota that are Democrat mayors that are like, hey, so we're voting for Trump because we need more accountability. So yeah, there's some out there, sure, but the news doesn't cover it. The news isn't going to tell you that. Kind of what RJ was saying. It's not indicative of the whole party. So I don't want to say by all means it's the whole party, but that seems to be the only party it's coming from. I think you made a very good point of that, James, that we're not saying it's all of them, but we're saying that's the only side that it's coming from. And I think that's kind of hard to argue that because it seems to be the only place. I mean, you look at Rand Paul, I believe Rand, he may be independent, I think, or Republican. I can't remember. I know he's not Democrat. He's the one that wrote the Breonna Taylor Act. He's the one trying to end no-knock search warrants, which is a whole other podcast on why they're safer than knocking and announcing warrants a lot of times. But anyways, he's the one that wrote it. Not some super liberal, not AOC, not Ilhan Omar, not the other idiot, the other third one with the glasses with a goofy face. I can't remember her name. See, I'm sure I get canceled for saying that. But, you don't see it coming from them. And that's the problem. Like, it's just these people believe all these 5-letter words. They believe in, and I'll say all 3 of them. It's funny how they all work. Media, 5-letter word, right? Yeah, I got that right. Media, 5-letter word. Biden, 5-letter word, which pretty much is almost media spelled in a different way. And then you've got Trump, 5-letter word. People believe all these things without doing their own research. And I don't understand it, man. Like, there could be video evidence right in front of them, and they go with it just based on what, somebody told them to think. And because that's their team. I don't understand it, man. It's like, it's something as simple as you go back to football, since we brought that up. You see, like the NFL playoffs, pass interference call gets called. And you have one side being like, oh, my God, that was pass interference. Oh, my God. And it could be obvious pass interference. And the other side being like, no, it's not. That is tribalism. Mm-hmm. If you want it simplified for you, instead of saying, you know what, yeah, that was probably pass interference, there's people that are like, oh, no. And it can be the most obvious, most blatant penalty in history with video evidence, and they're still going to dispute it just because it's their team. And that is what we're doing in politics. And that, my friend, is extremely dangerous for this country.
Yeah, I think parents need to toughen their kids up. I have low tolerance for that kind of weakness, especially that kind of mental weakness when it's when it pertains to things like, like an election. The guy that you wanted to win or the lady that you wanted to win didn't win. The other one did. And what is crying about it going to do? I don't understand. I've never understood this concept of coddling, because it doesn't produce or yield any kind of real result when it happens. It's basically just a way of saying, no, you can just keep doing that and feel that way. And if that makes you feel better to rage out and lash out and do all that, then we need to facilitate that for you and give you a space to do that. And in a lot of cases that trickles all the way down, or maybe it trickles all the way up to being something that actually does have quite a bit of significance, like telling people that it's okay to go out and shoot cops in the street, telling people that the cops are the bad guys and that we need to go out and get them. And the funny thing is the left. I keep using the left again. I'm making them own this. I'm making them own the people that they claim that they support. And right now,
Sure.
you've got BLM, you've got Antifa out, and the left seems to embrace them quite well and openly says it. So I'm going to put that in their court. But when you've got Democratic lawmakers out there refusing to condemn this kind of violence and in some cases encouraging it, then you can't expect there to be any other result, right? I mean, this is blatantly obvious to anyone that has, a pea-sized brain. Okay, you can't have everyone in charge that says this is the way this is, this is the way this is, and this is the way this is. And in this situation, we have this violent group that's creating all of this violence, and whether it started as a violent thing or whether it started about crying over an election, now it's spawned itself into violence, and we're going to condone that, and we're going to try to make you criminals feel better about yourself because we just understand that you're injured and there was something that happened a long time ago that's causing you to act this way. Listen, the time for molding someone is probably done by the time they're 20 or 25 years old, okay? They're adults. They have consequences. Let them suffer the consequences and move on about your business. That's all I got on that.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. It's just that it's the world we're in, man, and that's why you see this stuff getting glorified. That's the whole resistance idea. They feel good that they can go out there and do something without any resistance from law enforcement because law enforcement is frankly too afraid of going to jail right now by some rogue prosecutors or the media vilifying them and putting their name and address and all this stuff out there to really do anything about it. And that's the problem we have now. And it's just law and order is dwindling away and trickling away and getting chipped away at in certain areas. And this is the result of it. And like you said, to go back to one of your comments, be careful what you wish for, because when that happens, we read a quote last week from somebody that had been to war. I don't think they really want that. So, and Eric, again, always remember, Democrats accuse others of what they think and do. It's an easy glimpse in the back room. Joe Biden is the first Dem nominee who was publicly suggested of being racist and sexual harasser by his VP pick. No Me Too, no Believe All Women. If Dems didn't have double standards, they'd have no standards at all. I mean, yeah, you're right, because, Kamala Harris came out and called him racist, basically. Said that she believed his accusers, right? Well, now you're cool with that because he nominated you to be his VP? What's that say about her character?
Obviously.
Right. But what's that say about her character? If she doesn't really truly believe what she's saying, then there you go. Or if she does believe that he did it and still accepted it, that's even worse. So either way, you don't believe what you're saying, or you do believe it and you're just willing to look the other way for a potential sexual harassment, sexual assault victim. If you look at her history, that's probably what it is, because look at Jacob Blake. She was proud of him. We talked about that last week. So, I mean, that's a distinct possibility, man.
Well, I mean, there's a very simple way to break that down is, you're either in on it or you're too stupid to know any better. And either way, you're not going to be good for the country. So you got to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So just
one's incompetence and the other one's intentional going along with and being in on it, and the other one's just incompetence. But either way, you don't want either one of those candidates, right?
No, you're right. I mean, it's just it's bad, man. It's just bad. Yeah, you're right. Eric, Harris, Biden is bad. Biden. I'll offer you VP, Harris. You're the best. That's true. It's exactly what happened. It's the long and the short of it. Let's get to. I want to show this video since we showed the asshole talking bad about the police. I want to show you what a true hero looks like real quick, and talk about the warrior mindset and talk about how much of a badass this lady is. So this is after the shooting. This is after the two LA County deputies get out of their vehicle. I believe they're both shot in the face, and one is shot in the arm, as you can see her applying a tourniquet here. But let's just watch this and talk about it.
Yeah, what a stud, man. She is dealing with a gunshot, I think, through the jaw, right? Correct? Through the cheek?
Yeah, she got shot through the jaw. So
who's filming that?
I think that's off surveillance is what that one is. I think that's where that came from.
Okay, I just didn't know. Is that? I mean, that's local. Like they got out of the car and ran to the building, correct?
Yeah, you could see even in that if you go to the video, the raw video of them getting shot, she gets out. I believe she was a passenger. She gets out pretty quick. You can see the perp running away. As she gets out, and they kind of take cover because they don't know at this point. I mean, dude, they're both shot. They're both pretty much disabled, and there's not much they can do but call for help. She called for help. Yeah. She put a tourniquet on her partner, and that goes to show you right there, if you guys can just wrap your head around something, look inside the heart of a police officer real quick. This is coming from a former one. As a man, I don't care that it's a woman bandaging me. I don't give a shit that if it's a one-armed European Asian midget bandaging me. As long as they're a cop and they're on my side, cops don't see race. Cops don't see sex. Most cops, most all cops, 99%, 0.999%, don't see any of that. And that's what people fail to realize. Do you think for 1 second that dude looked at her and went, oh my God, a woman's bandaging me? No. They are family. That is what cops do, man. And that is so frustrating to me when people are like, oh, cops are racist and blah, blah, blah. Negative. The vast, huge majority of them are not. I believe she's Hispanic on top of it. And man, it's frustrating. It's disheartening to me. That's why I'm almost speechless at this point, because that's what you see. That's love right there between two people. A brother or a sister trying to take care of her brother. It's the same thing any of my veterans out there that listen to it that have seen combat. I know you didn't care if the person coming to you was a Republican, a Democrat, independent, freaking pagan, Satanist, Christian, Baptist, whatever. That's why police on the forefront and on the very just basic belief system that they have, do right, be right, and that's all they want, man. Like, good for her, man. She's a freaking warrior. I mean, she called in backup. Like, it's kudos to her. I know she was just trying to get home to her daughter because they said she's a mom too. And man, that's what you see. But you know what else I saw there? Or I didn't see none of the public going to help them. And frankly, fuck every one of them. And I'll say it right now, I don't care. I agree. Every single one of those people, they should all be in prison. Hell, they should all be worse. I won't say it out loud, but they should be put in jail. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, you're worthless. You do nothing for society. You're a piece of shit, and you should be treated like it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and furthermore, they laugh about it.
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah, it's super funny until it's you.
No, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what? And if they find out who it is, I'm sure Kamala Harris will be going to visit him in jail and tell him what kind of hero he is.
Oh, they already named the suspect supposedly. I'm not going to name him right now because there's some iffy stuff about it. But he's been on Twitter saying it wasn't him, and he was dirt biking all weekend. But anyways, he may be innocent. So we'll wait till he gets arrested, and we'll see what happens with the evidence come out. Yeah. We'll be the ones that don't jump to conclusions, unlike the left. We'll wait for the full investigation to come through before I condemn the dude. Which is why I'm not naming. But again, good for her, man. It's just, I'm proud, to see somebody like that to react like that. That's an officer. Everybody's like, oh, the police need more training. So you're telling me that you can do a better job than that lady? False. I mean, she deserves, every award on the planet she can get for what she did. You could tell she was calm. She wasn't panicking. It's mind-blowing. I mean, but I've seen it countless times, so it shouldn't even be mind-blowing for me. I've seen it countless times over and over and over again from police in person, and not. That's police work to me, man. That's a hero, and good for both of them. I'm glad they're both expected to recover. The good guys won one there, so it's awesome. And she absolutely has goals. I mean, that's anybody that's a warrior should want to be her. So same thing with, Eric said, I'd love to be her in that situation. It's hard to say what you do till the, gunfire happens. So good for her having the mindset, man.
Go ahead. I was going to say, take it a step further, the Tulsa case. I would encourage anyone. I would warn people that it's a tough one to watch if you watch what happened in Tulsa. But if this is something that you are in question about, or you're just not sure how this works, or you think maybe the police are jumping, the gun, no pun intended there, too quickly sometimes, then maybe you should take a look at the Tulsa case. I mean, these officers are pleading with the guy, and they try to get him out of the car several different times, and they really had gotten so far, I think, into the arresting situation. It had went on for so long that they were starting to become comfortable with the idea that he wasn't really dangerous anymore.
Yep.
And then right at the at the last second, obviously he goes for a gun and he gets it and he kills one of them, and he badly injures and wounds the other one, who I think is in critical condition still, maybe even.
Yeah, I think it's
so. Yeah, so I mean, this, again, it's very tough to watch, but it is a great example of why we don't try to armchair quarterback the law enforcement for doing their jobs, and you want to wait till the full reports come out before you start making those judgments.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So kind of going back to the whole why I think this is what the BLM movement's caused, this is what the liberals are caused. Let's talk about the shooting real quick here. This one isn't deemed sensitive, so I think we're good, which is kind of ironic because the last thing I showed you guys is deemed sensitive by Facebook, a police officer being a hero, but this is not. So let's talk about this. Was a shooting in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, for those of you that don't know. This generated a ton of protests, and yeah, I'm going to go full screen for y'all so y'all can see it better. And here we go. It's a domestic disturbance call. His sister called the police on him, and we'll let it play. That's him turning on his camera.
28 coming your way. Where'd he go? Get back.
So you can clearly see right there where, yep, there it is. Okay, that's playing the video for you. It circles a knife. In case you're wondering what he had, it's a knife. And I believe it's still going. And they'll circle it again on the ground for you, I believe. Yep, there it is right there. So that right there generated protests. Why? Because the media, in my opinion, the media and our politicians have made the police guilty of anything. Anytime a black person shot by the police now, the police will always be doubted until somebody steps up, until lawsuits start happening, until people are starting to be held accountable. You're going to see this. There was riots in the town over that, and good on the town for coming down heavy on the rioters. I believe they arrested 6 or 8 of them. I'll find the article here in just a second while you're commenting, James. And they are held on $1 million bail. That's how it should be. It's a justified shooting. It sucks. It's tragic. Yeah, a man lost his life. The guy had been accused before of stabbing 4 people, so the officer knew the history. I'll break down what he did right here in a second. The officer did great. And we're going to riot over that? Your thoughts?
Eric, you have lost your mind. This guy is clearly, the guy wielding a knife is clearly a hero. I mean, let's just be real. Kamala's going to make this guy into a hero, and Drew Brees will be wearing his name on his helmet and on his jersey and on his shoes. I mean, I got nothing, man. This just keeps happening over and over and over. And I do have something for anyone that believes that in some way these officers are wrong, especially in this case right here. You're just flat out have no sense whatsoever.
Yeah,
and you definitely don't understand what it's like to be a law enforcement officer or what kind of danger that's involved in this. And I would love for some of these people that have such a strong opinion on condemning the officers. I would love to see them try to react in these situations and see what the outcome is.
Yeah. So here's all your morons that were held on $1 million. I wanted to go ahead and share the whole article. Oh, it didn't go right to that. Give me a second. So I know it shared it right there. Let's go to share. I want you all to see what they look like. Here you go. Because the original article only showed people that looked a certain way, and they weren't black people, so we'll go with that. Anyways, here's all your arrestees right here. All these idiots, all different. He looks like John Jones, by the way. He looks like Elon Musk, so let's keep going. So all these people right here decided they were going to riot before getting the investigation, doing like we said, obviously, juvenile. Okay, so I was going to say they arrested a cartoon person. So all those people right there were arrested. They were held on $1 million bond, and they are now crying because, oh my God, it's so much money. One of the teens that was arrested, I believe, is a 16-year-old, was like, oh my God, $1 million is so much money. Well, you know what, James? So is you losing your business because it gets burnt down. The guy in Kenosha, I'm pretty sure, and I'll verify this in a second, that the famous picture of the car dealership on fire, there's newspaper articles, or at least things I've seen, where it said he killed himself. That's, I mean, $1 million, don't be an asshole, right? I mean, that's my thoughts. Yours?
Yeah, no, at some point we've got to get back to criminals just belong. They either belong in jail or they deserve to be arrested and serve the punishment that fits the crime. I mean, that's just all there is to it. And until we get back to that as a group, as a nation, we're going to continue to see more of this. And that's why I usually go back to some of the running stances that we have. And listen, it doesn't matter on which side of the aisle you are on. President Trump is probably the only person that's publicly and consistently denouncing and condemning all of this violence. I'm not seeing anybody else do it. I would love for someone to provide something to us. If somebody wants to drop it in the comments of some of these, anyone else that is of major influence in especially in the political arena, that is denouncing this kind of violence and condemning it. I'm not seeing it. I am seeing Trump do it though, and I think that's why he's going to win this election in a landslide. And the other thing is that he's been very consistent with this. I mean, he's been very consistent with law and order. Now, at the same time that he's been very consistent with law and order, just to be fair, I will also say that he is the president that is in office while we have had certain kinds of reform, criminal reform done now that a lot of past presidents talk about doing, and just either for whatever reason they were unable to do it or they just never took the time to actually follow through on it. So, hats off to at least the administration or at least the president himself for continuing to condemn this violence and staying consistent, with that.
Yep. So sharing another quick little meme off Instagram, same people we've been viewing a couple of their videos from for the police post. This is the mindset we have now. Forget everything. Let's forget the evidence. Let's forget the investigation, the trial, all these other things. Let's just go ahead and riot and burn shit to the ground. Yeah. That's the climate. That's the culture we're in. I blame the media. I blame them first and foremost. I blame them over the politicians. I don't think the media gets enough heat for this. But I blame the media first and foremost for reporting false things and they give the politicians the platform in the first place. So without the media, none of that would be a problem. If they're back to being journalists, which we'll get, and I want to ask your opinion on something here in a second. I blame the media. I really do. Blame the media, and then I blame the left, obviously. And Preston, you're right. I blame the Democrats. By God, that's what happens. I'm sure my neighbors hate me now because no one of them watches it, and they're a little bit liberal, but I still love them anyways. That's what we do, right? RJ, yep, you're right. I'll go put your comment up since we're dropping F-bombs today. Yep, F them too. So, but that's the problem. That's where we're at as a country. Oh, F the media, not Democrats. Okay.
No, it's listen, I got no love for what you call this Democrat Party right now whatsoever, because there is no Democrat Party, and I'm not going to go off on my soapbox again about how much the Democrat Party has been hijacked, because it has been. But either way, as it shakes down, there is no Democrat Party, or what traditionally would have been considered Democrat Party in the past. So as I sift through my notes here to find more talking points. All right, let's take a quick break here real quick. I'm going to go back to our sponsors one more time so that we can cool down from the Democrat bashing right here. Guys, All Weather Construction is a supporter of the show. They've been good to us, and you guys can reach out to Steven over at All Weather Construction. They handle home improvement, any kind of construction needs, guys. Their numbers at 470-519-6988. Again, that's 470-519-6988. Any of your home improvement needs, give Steven a call. I'm sure he'll be there in a jiffy to take care of it. And then moving on down to Peach State Printing, guys. Peach State Printing in Hiram, Georgia. Jason and the guys over at Peach State, they're there for all your printing needs. If it's stationery, screen printing, you name it, documents, vehicle wraps, whatever, printing needs you have. Jason might even come over to your house and do your dishes for you. So he is a one-stop shop. You can reach those guys at 770-439-0335. Again, that's 770-439-0335. And then we also have North Cobb Spine and Nerve for all your chiropractic and physical medicine needs. If you guys need to get cracked around and pop that neck and that back, you guys can reach them over at 678-574-5678. That's northcobbspine.com. And Chantel, let's give Chantel a shout out. So Chantel at Chantel Creations, guys. If you look behind Eric here, mine's removed for today. I had another little piece of artwork back here. But if you look behind Eric there, you guys are going to see that he has that beautiful Betsy Ross edition of the Pledge of Allegiance flag. That was done by Chantel over at Chantel Creations. You guys can reach her at chantelcreations.com. I'm not going to spell it. It's right there on the screen. If you guys need to cross-reference that, you can back up to whatever time frame it is in the show right now, and you'll be able to catch those. All right, so now let's move on.
Yep, let's move on. So we have a Nobel Prize nomination.
This is good news. This is good stuff.
We do. I actually started to ask one of my friends who he is very big into the Jewish religion. He teaches a lot of the stuff. So I read the articles, I saw it, and I had to ask him. I was like, hey, man, what does this actually mean? Like, should I be excited about this Nobel Peace Prize nomination, this peace treaty? And he said, as far as peace treaty goes, it's a very legitimate Nobel Peace Prize nomination. I think he is nominated for two of them now, or nominated by two different people at this point for two different things that were brokered. And let's talk about it for a minute, way to end the podcast on a positive note. Right here, and we'll get into some media bias with it too, but we'll get to that in a second. So Donald Trump was nominated for brokering a peace accord. I believe it's only the third one since 1948 between Israel and Arab nations. So he nominated he brokered a peace treaty with Israel and with the United Arab Emirates, which is a huge deal. It's huge for peace. We had a president in the past, I may be scrolling past him right now, that was nominated for a peace prize without doing anything. Then he actually came out before he received it and said, I'm really good at killing people. That was not Donald Trump that said that. I'll give you a hint of who it was that said it. Not Donald Trump. Scroll on past all that. And, then you see in the news right here is controversial nomination. Well, why is it controversial? He brokered peace between two nations. Like, that should be, why are we not applauding it? But meanwhile, we have people calling it a distraction and all these other things. And there you have it. And we actually have, I want to talk about something with the media bias real quick before we got to cut out of here. We all remember the thing that came out with Donald Trump talking about veterans, right? He called them losers, suckers, all this other things. And according to the Atlantic, who wrote this article, saying they had anonymous sources that Donald Trump had said this. Well, anonymous sources say I'm a billionaire, but that's probably not true. So let's look at what the Atlantic is reporting about Donald Trump. You want to see somebody raging out and screaming to the top of their lungs like that one chick did after Trump got elected? Let's look at this. What's that say, James? That's the same.
Yeah. No, they'll cancel that too. They'll cancel anything. You know what they're trying to do right now? They're trying to cancel the Constitution is what they're trying to do. You heard it here first.
There's people that believe what they say. I don't know. Get on Donald Trump. I read somewhere where the United Arab Emirates has already told all their businesses that they must offer kosher meals. They're welcoming people from Israel and Jewish people with open arms, which has never been done before. It's progression. What party says that? Oh, not Republicans, the Progressive Party, right? The liberals, they should be happy about it, but they're not. It's a distraction. And you know what, Eric, you're right. We forgot about Nancy getting her hair done. I haven't brought it up the entire podcast until now, so it worked on me. I'm a sucker, sir. You are correct. Um, congrats to Donald Trump for it. I hope he gets it. It's historic. I mean, if you look at how many times it's been done, I believe 3 times. I'm sure Mitch or Ray, both of them are. They do their own podcast. I'll give them a shout out down on the bottom once we're done on religion every week, and they do a good job with it, man. They're both very well versed in it, and they both said it's a big deal. So if they say it's a big deal, they're educated on the topic a lot more than me as far as the religious aspects of it go, and beef between the two countries. Good for Donald Trump for brokering it. Could it be political because of the timing? Of course. I mean, he's a politician now. He's not a businessman anymore. He is a politician. It's great timing for him. I don't think it hurts him. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, there was no specific timing issue when they moved the embassy into Jerusalem either. So, I don't even know that I would blame it on good, convenient timing for trying to do something that makes him look good during the election. Listen, I think Donald Trump knows good and well that the people that don't like him are not coming over to his side, and it doesn't matter what he does. It's not going to look good in their eyes. So, of course, it's going to look good to Republican voters, and it's going to look good to Trump supporters, and it's going to look good to conservatives across the board. But then again, a lot of stuff that conservatives and Republicans do does look good because it just is good stuff. It's usually not giving away the wealth of America to other countries. It's usually not brokering, ridiculous trade deals. It's quite the opposite. So I think it's just become popular now to hate anything American, and we've seen it. We continue to see it every day. Anything patriotic is pretty much blacklisted, and it's become the popular thing to try to teach all the new kids to hate the United States. And so, I don't think Trump gets any. He's not going to get any kind of surge because he made one of these deals. I think it's a great thing that he made these deals or that he helped broker these transactions. But can the left use this as an excuse to say that he's pandering to someone? Absolutely not. Because who's he pandering to? The people that already like him? The people that are already going to vote for him? I don't even know how many undecided voters there are anymore. I think everybody's pretty much decided on what they're going to do.
I think so too. I think you're absolutely right. The media wants to make you think that it's close, but again, we said it over and over again. I don't think it's that close anymore. It's getting further and further away for Biden. Final thoughts.
Back when I used to have friends on the left, way back then.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Back when that used to happen, or we used to have those conversations, I can't remember a single one of them ever coming around to understanding anything. So, to say that there's a lot of undecided voters out there that are waiting on Trump's next move, or they're waiting on the Democrats' next move to determine which one they're voting for, I don't think there's that many of them. So I'm not even sure it'll be enough to make an impact.
Nope. So, I'll leave my final thoughts and leave the last word with you, since we covered everything pretty well. Again, if y'all see a police officer out, firefighter, first responder, paramedic, anybody, man, go thank them for their service, please. Go buy them breakfast. Do something nice for them, man. They need your support. They need to know more now than ever that they do have our support. The job wears on you. It took its mental toll on me. Ultimately, it's one of the reasons why I got out. And they need your support. You don't want the good ones to leave, because when the second string starts coming in, that's not going to be good. Contact your lawmakers, demand better benefits, better pay for all your police officers. If you want high quality people, you got to pay them like high quality people. Paying them $13 an hour to work for a metro police department is not going to get your highest quality people. So if you want it to be a profession, as you all say, and you want them to be highly trained, pay them for it, man. Final thoughts for you, James.
Yeah, and then these municipalities, if they want to have better, if they want to have better ratings in their law enforcement, then they need to be able to fund this kind of stuff. So they're going to have to come up with the funding and rework their budget system so that it's going to help guys get the training that they need.
Yep.
And furthermore, speaking of the word training, I'll skip all the topics that we talked today here. I just, as far as training goes, I'm going to try to plead to the general public here that we do live in some pretty volatile times right now. We're not trying to be paranoid or cause people paranoia or anything like that. But one thing that I think is extremely important is to make sure that you're prepared for these potential events should they happen. As you see each week, even with our show, we're able to bring you just the highlights of what happened, on any given weekend. And it's taken us an hour and a half to cover these events. And most of these events, unfortunately, that we have to speak of lately, these are not positive things that are happening. You're watching just the bedrock and the foundation of the United States being just completely eroded away. And the Constitution itself, I believe, is under attack, and you guys need to be prepared for anything that might become of this. You're already starting to see, what we would call patriots in certain situations having to go out and defend their own stuff because you're not able to count on the government anymore for that. And the government's pretty much openly telling you that you're not going to be able to count on them for it. So I think that you guys should, if you're Second Amendment advocates, I think you guys need to make sure that not only do you purchase weapons and purchase ammo, and that you have yourself in a position where you feel like you have enough defense means that within your home. I think you guys need to train. And if you're one of those gun collectors that might have, the ultimate collection of guns and ammo, but you never actually get out and do any training, then you guys need to go out and train. And I want to be real clear when I talk about training, guys. When I talk about training, I'm not talking about going out and shooting and plinking with the boys and having some beers while you do it. I'm talking about actually training some actual techniques. Try to put yourself around someone who can give you a little more guidance. Eric and myself are going to be putting together I believe next week coming up, we'll be doing a kind of a recap on preparedness. And I think this is now that we can advertise, so to speak, in this previous episode, I think it's going to be great. If you guys will remember next week, we'll put the time out for you specifically with a couple of 2 or 3 days notice as well. Yep. We will be covering preparedness. I'm going to be bringing in some of the stuff that I have prepared, and we can go over some of these specific items in the bag. And more than anything, make sure that you guys have a plan of action. Make sure that you're not underestimating what can happen in any given moment. Stay vigilant, get plenty of training, and we'll get that show prepared for you, and maybe we can help lend some of our ideas and some of our opinions towards helping you guys build a safer foundation for your family.
Awesome. And again, thanks to everybody that chimed in today. We appreciate all the comments, even if they're jokes funny, everything serious not. If there are some topics of discussion you want to see us talk about, please let us know. Again, working on getting a couple more guests on the show. It's just always one of those things. Logistics aren't always the easiest. We will make it happen. And again, thanks for your loyalty. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Couldn't do it without you guys. And we will see you all next week.